Hello and welcome to Singing Unpacked. This is a new series where we're going to take some of the concepts, exercises and ideas that I share over on Instagram at Blue Sky Singing and enjoy having the space here to unpack these techniques and topics in more detail. If we haven't met before, I'm Josephine, a contemporary vocal coach and founder of Blue Sky Singing. And before we dive in, why not hit subscribe and like? So, if you've seen one of my exercises, and don't worry if you haven't, you're about to, and wondered why does it work and how do I actually use it for my own singing and how do I get more out of this technique, then this is the series for you. Today's topic is all about waving goodbye to strain and tension in your singing and saying hello to a whole lot more ease. And this really is something I work on with singers all the time, whether they're beginners or experienced performers. Now we're going to talk about what strain and tension actually are, why they matter, and we're going to work through the technique behind this month's exercise of the month and help you get real results from it. And then we're going to see how it really helped a singer that I coached in a live session. And then we're going to have a look at the different things that can cause tension in different singers, because we're all unique. And maybe that will help you figure out what's behind any strain or tension for yourself and do something positive about it. Let's dive in. When singers talk about strain, they're usually describing singing that feels harder than it needs to. Maybe your throat feels tight, maybe high notes feel forced, maybe your voice just tires out quickly, and maybe you feel like you're pushing to make that voicing happen. Now, singing does require effort, but the goal isn't to reduce all effort from singing, it's just to reduce the unnecessary muscular effort that might be kind of getting in your way and really balance things out better. Because often what happens is the body starts recruiting muscles that really don't need to be working quite as hard or so involved in your singing. And instead of helping the voice, actually inadvertently, those muscles can actually get in the way of really getting your best, freest vocal. And when that happens, it feels difficult and less consistent and less reliable, and that's what we can describe as feeling strain or tension. The reason I care so much about helping singers reduce unnecessary strain isn't just because I want singing to feel easier, it's because strain can affect so many areas of your singing. It's very likely to reduce your vocal endurance and stamina, your consistency and your vocal control too. And perhaps most importantly, it can affect how much trust you have in your voice, and potentially, especially if you're pushing your voice too hard too often, then you may well be pushing yourself towards a vocal injury, and we definitely don't want that. So this is more than just improving technique just because we can. It really just can make a big difference, a really good difference in bringing a reliability and longevity in your voice, and I know you want that. So let's look at the tongue out Bluh exercise of the month. And here's a top tip I shared on how to really feel the difference in effort through this exercise. Make sure to avoid pulling across. An example of this would be Bluh. Feel those neck muscles engage by doing that Bluh. So that is likely to be involving the muscles too much, whereas that narrower Bluh, have a feel, really doesn't, and that's where the power of this exercise lies, and it's bringing the tongue forward as well. Following on from that, the tongue is very important in our singing, but sometimes the tongue root can really tighten and push down and on the larynx, adding to the strain and effort we might feel. And sometimes this is actually the tongue root trying to help us cope with pushing too much air at the vocal folds, so there's a change to make there. And obviously the goal isn't that every singer should forever sing with their tongue hanging out, but it's just simply creating a different set of conditions that can help us experience less effort, tension and push in our singing. And then when that tension reduces, we often find a freer, more efficient coordination having done that. You might notice that things feel easier, that it sounds smoother, that it's just less effort. Or sometimes with some exercises, you might notice very little changes for you, and that's okay, that's normal. The point is to explore, and I'll tell you what might help you out. Maybe video record yourself and watch back to see any difference in visible effort around the throat, and more easily hear difference in the sound while you're not actually singing at the same time. Give that a go. Let me show you an example from a coaching session I did earlier this year. Now, this was actually part of a group workshop on how to build vocal endurance, and let's see how the singer is getting on to start out with. Can you take me higher to a place where blindness see? What I noticed here was that this singer was using quite a lot of muscular effort around the throat, and there was a sense of pushing and working hard to create the sound. Now, that's not that unusual. Many singers do this, and very often it's a habit that develops over time because they're trying to create a particular sound or achieve a particular result, or they have maybe a belief that singing is supposed to be effortful. And now he says something really interesting actually. It looks like there's a lot of extra effort going on. How does that feel for you?
Maybe it's just been something I've been doing for so long that it doesn't like feel that different like compared to normally.
So what I was hearing and seeing signs of really high effort, for him, because it's his norm, he was not thinking of it being effortful. It's just nothing different than he's ever known. Isn't that interesting? Now, the great thing was he was open to exploring the exercise, adapting his technique from that and getting the song happening and more freedom happening. And this is where we got to. Blah, 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 blah. Use that setup with words. To a place where blind men see. Everybody's like, ooh, this is different. Yeah, what do you reckon?
Yeah, better.
He massively reduced his muscular overworking around the throat and everything through applying this exercise and getting that change to follow through into the song and lyrics he was singing. And in the room, even more than the recording, the sound honestly was so much noticeably clearer and freer in his vocal tone. And you can actually see that if you look at the responses from the other singers watching, they can really notice the difference like I did. So this exercise proved to be a really useful tool for this singer, and it's now over to him to work that idea through consistently and repeatedly so his old high effort muscle memory adapts to this new, easier way of singing and reaching towards those higher notes in particular, and I wish him all the best with that. This is the really important bit. Not all strain comes from the same place for each singer. So for one singer, it might simply be a habit they've developed over years of singing, like with the singer I just shared working with. For another singer, it might be tongue tension that's the root issue, or jaw tension, or pushing too much air on repeat. So for others, it might be nerves, self-consciousness, or performance anxiety, so more on that psychological, emotional side. And that's why there isn't one exercise that works in exactly the same way for everyone, such as with the tongue out Bluh. In this case, the exercise isn't actually the destination. It's just a tool that helps us understand what's happening and that we can try and see if we can make a helpful change through. But the actual goal is always to understand your voice better, get you clearer on the root cause for you to be able to make a change that really lasts and helps you, get your singing where you want it to be and moving forward. So I would encourage you to reflect on these different causes of tension and see if you can really target making a change in one that you feel is the main source of tension in your singing for yourself, and keep that in mind if you choose to use this particular technique to help you get there, or in singing songs in general. If you found this episode helpful, please hit like and subscribe. And if you're ready to explore this topic further, I've put some useful links in the description below this video for the next steps you can take. So one of the links is for my Sing Longer Without Strain mini course, where we can go much deeper into understanding vocal endurance and stamina, reducing unnecessary effort in your singing, and the many, many other things involved in helping your voice work more efficiently and last much longer without hitting fatigue and strain. Thanks so much for watching this first episode. I really appreciate it. Now, if you've got questions or topics that you'd like me to unpack in a future episode, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time for more Singing Unpacked.